Calling all authors, the Your Book, Your Voice podcast with host Robert A. Lane features everything you need to know about narrating your audiobook. But it doesn't stop there. We have special guests lined up from all aspects of the book publishing industry, and we also dive deep into what it takes to be mentally prepared for success as an author and in life. So please welcome your host, Robert A. Lane.
Hey, my friends, welcome to the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I am your host, Robert A. Lane. I have a business called Robert Lane Coaching at robertlanecoaching.com. Maybe this is the first time you're tuning in. Welcome. Glad you're here. I am an audiobook coach and producer, and I focus on helping nonfiction authors, hopefully you are one, helping you narrate your own audiobook. I have an audiobook coaching program, which is called Your Book, Your Voice. And I coach you one-on-one and take you through the entire process of setting up your own recording space, teaching you the fine art of voiceover and narration and how to do a great, compelling audiobook narration, and then getting you published on the AAA, which is Audible, Amazon, and Apple. And if it does fit in with your marketing strategies that you need to be published on other distribution platforms, I also help you out with that as well. So the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program is a 6-week intensive. So by the end of the 6 weeks, you have your audiobook recorded, narrated, and uploaded for publishing. And that's what I do. Love doing it and love helping you create something awesome. Because you published a great book, so you might as well take it up to the next level and turning it into an audiobook. That's the way to do it. All right, a couple of things real quick. If you are interested, by the way, of connecting with me and talking with me about helping you with turning your book into an audiobook, I speak with every author who, before they even enroll in the program, just to find out more about your book, what your goals are, and give you details about the audiobook coaching program. So you can schedule a call with me. And that's all you need to do. It's real simple. There's a graphic on the screen for you to check out. That is to schedule a free audiobook consultation call. And the link for those of you who are maybe hearing the podcast and not seeing the visual aspect of it, that link is bit.ly, bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. That's bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. All right, so please go ahead and feel free to book a call. That goes directly to my calendar, and you will speak to me directly. One more thing I do want to share with you before we dive into our topic today is I do have a freebie for you, and that is an audiobook narration reference guide. So grab yourself a copy of this. It's a free PDF download. I put a lot of cool tools and techniques that'll help you do a great narration, because all nonfiction authors need to narrate their own audiobook. And this will help you. All right. So again, the link is bit.ly/narration reference guide. All right. So just wanted to share that with you. Okay. So our topic today on the podcast is creating your author brand. And I really want to dive into this because that is so important, and it is a crucial aspect of who you are as a nonfiction author. Matter of fact, if you want to share with us what your book is about. Maybe you got a book that you've published, or maybe you're working on your nonfiction book now. We'd love to hear from you. Since we are doing the live stream here on the Bold Brave TV network, you can join in and participate, and I do encourage that. So you can either post comments if you would like, or you can also give us a call at 1-866-451-1451 and join in on the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have any questions, by all means, please give us a call. 1-866-451-1451. Of course, that's for the live stream today, as we are live streaming the podcast. If you're watching the replay, sorry you missed out. But hey, you're here now, so that's important. Okay, so we are going to talk about creating your author brand. So a couple of things that you need to understand. Number one is, don't ever consider yourself a hobbyist. You're an author, okay? You wrote your nonfiction book. You've published your nonfiction book. it's out there in the world for everyone to read. Okay, even if you are working on your first book, or maybe you have several books that you've already published, you are a professional. You are not a hobbyist. So accept that, embrace it. You're a pro. All right, you are a professional writer. You are a professional author, and that mindset really is super important as part of your author brand and as part of creating your author brand. You have to accept and just love the fact that you are a great author, okay? And you are a professional. You're not a hobbyist. Whether you write professionally, and if you do, that's great. You know, there's a small percentage of people who make a living as a writer. And if you're one of them, I mean, that's a great accomplishment. So definitely be proud of that. You know, or, you know, maybe you have a 9-to-5 job and you wrote your book on nights and weekends. Still, you are not a hobbyist, you're not an amateur, you're a professional because you published your book. So embrace that fact. The second fact that you need to embrace is you're an entrepreneur. Your author brand is being an entrepreneur. You've created something from nothing, right? You wrote your book, it didn't exist, and now it does. So you are an entrepreneur. And I just want to say, welcome to entrepreneurship. Good for you, because being an entrepreneur is a challenge. It's tough. And being an author, you're now an entrepreneur. So love it. Now, with that, of course, comes responsibility. As an entrepreneur, you are a business. So you need to treat your author brand as a business, which means, I'm going to throw out one of my infamous catchphrases, you are the CEO of you. Right? The buck stops right here, guys. The decisions that you make for your author brand are up to you. You're the boss. You are the CEO of you. So again, as I say, embrace your entrepreneurship. Embrace the fact that you are a professional. That is the first thing you need to do when it comes to creating your author brand. You have to accept and love and embrace that mindset. All right, very important. And some of the things to think about and consider, because now you are an entrepreneur, right? You are an entrepreneur. So things to keep in mind, some of the entrepreneurial traits that you need to have now that you are a professional writer, a professional author, and an entrepreneur. So first thing is resilience. You gotta have resilience. When I started Robert Lane Coaching, I worked in the entertainment business for 30 plus years, and I still dabble in the business with my own audio editing and audio post-production business. I still do that. I've been doing that aspect of the business for over 22 years, which is why, as an audiobook coach and producer, I do everything for you. Edit your audiobook, make sure it's to the right specs, all that stuff, because that's where I get my background from. But, you know, again, when I left the entertainment business, again, it's reinventing yourself. So I decided that I wanted to start Robert Lane Coaching, which I did. When I first started the business, I was doing career coaching and life coaching, and then that expanded into what I do today as an audiobook coach and producer, because I do also share some of that mindset work that you need to have with life coaching and career coaching, because that is all part of entrepreneurship. And part of that is resilience. And the reason why I bring up my background is just to give you an example of it definitely was like this, right? The ups and downs of entrepreneurship. It's not a smooth ride. You know, there's maybe, 1% of the population who say, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, that it's smooth sailing for them and they're mega successful and they don't run into, any problems or issues. It's a rarity, because when you're an entrepreneur, you have to work at it. So part of being an author brand is accepting the fact that you are an entrepreneur, and being resilient is a trait you have to have, because you have to just carry on, push forward. When I was doing and creating Robert Lane Coaching, there were times where you're like, man, this is really tough. I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not reaching the goals that I want to reach. But I didn't stop, because my mindset was, I haven't tried anything and everything that I can to help my business. And until I exhaust every possibility, every opportunity, I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to continue to forge my way, and I'm not going to give up. You have to be resilient. And that's the same mindset and attitude that you have to have as an author, because that's an important component to your author brand. So resilience is key, all right? Another thing that you need to have is adaptability, right? You have to be able to adapt. Maybe that relates to you in regards to new tools or apps or programs or things that can help you write your book, write your next book, write your next nonfiction book. Those are things that you need to adapt to. Maybe you're so used to writing your book in a certain way, and then now things have changed. You have to adapt. Just be open to adaptability, because that is a crucial component to being a successful author and being successful creating your author brand. And another trait that you need to have is just vision. You have a vision. You've already started with a vision. You had a vision when you wrote your book. Maybe you wrote a memoir, and that was your vision, is sharing the story of an experience that you went through. Maybe you had a tough childhood. Maybe you grew up in a cult. Maybe you, had other experiences that were really traumatic. And that's what your nonfiction book is about. And because of that, you lived it, you've breathed it, you've experienced it. That was your vision. And now you want to share it to the world because you feel that what you've written about can help other people. And that's a great thing. So have vision. But that vision also expands to promoting your author brand, getting the word out about who you are and what you're about. So having a marketing vision on top of that is super important as well. So vision, right? That's definitely a trait you have to have as an entrepreneur. So we got resilience, we have adaptability, we have vision. Another thing that you need to have as an entrepreneur, gotta get that word out, is calculated risks. Being willing to take calculated risks. And I don't mean just like grabbing that spaghetti out of the pot and throwing it up against the wall and seeing what sticks. That's not calculated. All right. That's just, doing what they say in football, the Hail Mary pass, just throwing out there and just hopefully the receiver's going to catch that football. You don't want to do that. You have to have calculated risks. And one of a great calculated risk is turning your book into an audiobook. And that's where I can help you do that. Definitely. So, get in touch with me, right? And let's talk. But, you made calculated risks when you wrote your book, when you hired a team of people to help you, an editor, maybe a book coach. Maybe you hired a formatter or cover designer, a proofreader, all the components that helped you create the book that you wrote and the nonfiction book that you published. You took calculated risks in working with certain people who can help you create the great book that you published. And that's a calculated risk. Maybe somebody you worked with sounded great when you first hooked up with them, but maybe things didn't work out as great as you thought they were. I had an experience like that when I wrote my book. Where's my book? I have it here, Lights Action You, which this focuses more on the career and life coaching aspect of what I was doing when I published this book. But, I had some issues with the cover designer. Yeah, they were super, super slow. And that became a problem because I had deadlines that I needed to meet. And that became an issue. I thought they were great, and they ended up doing what I needed them to do. But, again, had some issues, had some problems. So definitely you had to take a calculated risk. But it's worth it because remember, you are the CEO of you. So you have to make these decisions. So don't be afraid to make calculated risks. And one of the other things that I want to share with you is just being a leader. You got to be a leader because you are the CEO of you. So the decisions that you make as an entrepreneur, as your author brand, takes leadership. All right. So those are some entrepreneurial traits that you need to have that do incorporate what your author brand is. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to dive into what exactly encompasses your author brand. We're going to talk about that when we come back. You're listening to the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane. We are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Don't go away. Some more great information. I got it for you. Stay tuned.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
And welcome back. Glad you're here. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane. You can find out more about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer at robertlanecoaching.com. I think you could remember that, hopefully. But yes, by all means, matter of fact, if you go to the website, just to let you know that I have some clips of authors who've gone through the program, and there's samples of their audiobook narration, and they're all great. And they're not professional speakers, but they do such a great job. They did such a fabulous job, and you can too, absolutely. Whether you have speaking experience or maybe you don't, it doesn't matter. That's the whole point of coaching you through the program. So again, if you're interested in finding out more, I'd love to speak with you. We mentioned this at the beginning of the show, but again, we'll share this with you as well. And that is to book a call. Just book a call. I'd love to talk with you and give you more information about the audiobook coaching program, find out about your book and your goals, and get you enrolled. And you can have your audiobook narrated and published by the end of the 6-week program. So if you want to book a call, you can go to robertlanecoaching.com. There's places to click there to book your call. That's simple. All right. So we are talking about creating your author brand. And again, embracing your professionalism, embracing the fact that you are an entrepreneur. That's key. And that's the mindset aspect of it, because you have to be in the right frame of mind to really do the best that you can to create this author brand of yours. And you are a brand. All right. So what encompasses your author brand? Okay. What is it? What are the components? What are the things? Well, for starters, it's everything. Everything about you, everything that makes you you, everything that makes you unique, everything, your entire life is what creates your author brand. Your personality, your sense of humor, okay? Those are things that create your author brand. Your habits, okay? Your belief systems, especially. And the one thing that I want to mention about belief systems is, and I've heard like other coaches, I've been in several coaching programs, and I remember one coach saying, beliefs aren't real. And I think the way they say it that way more for shock value. And I don't like really saying it that way, because beliefs are really real to you. And I know that was their point. Beliefs aren't real. There's no such thing as beliefs. They're only real to you. But that kind of comes off in a negative sense. And we don't want that. We want positivity. So your belief systems are important, but just remember that what you believe is important to you. That's your belief system. And it may not be the same for somebody else, right? So, for example, I believe in ghosts, let's say. Let's say you do. I believe in ghosts. And maybe your friend says, ghosts aren't real. I don't believe in them. Two separate beliefs, right? You believe in your belief system. They believe in their belief system. It's okay. Just be open to accepting the person for who they are. And if that's their belief, that's their belief, all right? I don't talk politics on this show, and I won't. But again, what one person believes may not be what you believe. So just be open-minded. That's all. And that's the end of the political discussion. All right. So anyway, what you believe in is part of what creates your author brand. Okay. That's the other thing. Your writing style, of course. That's part of what creates your author brand. But another thing that has influenced the way you write is just how you grew up. I mean, it stems back to all those experiences that you had growing up. That helps mold the person who you are today. That's your author brand. And of course, one of the most important things is your voice. Your voice, figuratively and audibly, both ways. Your voice is in your written word. It's in your nonfiction book that you've published already. That's your style. That's your pacing. Again, like I mentioned, writing style. It's all there. But that is your voice. Now, I say this all the time. It's not really an infamous catchphrase, but hey, I say it all the time. And that is, all nonfiction authors need to narrate their own audiobook, because that is your voice. And you're taking the voice that you have in your written word and you're bringing it to life in your real voice, in your audible voice. So something that I come across quite a lot, actually, with the clients that I work with the authors that go through the audiobook coaching program that I teach, is lack of confidence in their own voice. And you have to be confident, and you got to believe in this wonderful sound that's coming out of your body. You got to believe it. You got to love it and embrace it. Just like you love and embrace being a professional writer, you love and embrace your entrepreneurship, right? Now you got to love and embrace your voice, because that is a crucial component to your author brand. That's part of what makes you, you. Because your author brand is unique to you and just to you. And that's what attracts your readers to you. And with your audiobook, that's what's going to attract those listeners to you, because of your uniqueness, okay? So your pacing, your communication skills, that's all part of your author brand. Your voice, your habits, your belief systems, everything that makes you, you is your author brand, okay? Because some people say, I'm not a brand. Well, you are. You are. And this is what encompasses it. Everything that makes you, you. All right. So we can actually categorize some key components of what your author brand is. So let's go through a few. I think I have 4 or 5 of them that I want to share with you today on the podcast. So we're going to start with one that is super important. Absolutely. Authenticity and voice. Your authenticity and your voice. And I mean figuratively and, of course, audibly as well, both ways. Being your authentic self is crucial. That is a number one key component. You don't want to be a poser. You don't want to be fake. You don't want to pretend to be something else. You don't want to try to sound like somebody else if you're doing your audiobook. You are the trendsetter, okay? Don't follow the trend, be the trend, all right? Just because everybody else is doing it, just because society is telling you how to do something, You don't have to follow what everybody else does. Be yourself, be your unique self. That is just one of the most important and crucial components of your author brand, because being your authentic self is what draws your followers to you, because you resonate with them. It's especially if you're a coach. If you've written a book and you offer a product or a service as a coach, maybe you are a career coach or a weight loss or a nutrition coach or a relationship coach, career coach, financial coach, whatever it is, right? Being your authentic self is what attracts your clients to you. You could have, career coach A, career coach B. They both are equally qualified to coach what they coach, and maybe they have similar. I wouldn't say coaching styles, but just like similar ways or similar products in a way, or maybe similar ways of teaching their products and their services. But the way that you teach yours versus the way the other coach teaches theirs, that's the difference. Because they do it in their unique way, you do it in your unique way. And even though both of you may be equally qualified, you're going to attract the clients that you want to work with to you because they resonate with you. And then the ones that don't will resonate with somebody else, and that's okay. But being authentic is so, so important, okay? You have to be true to yourself. You have to be true to your true self, all right? Because that creates and develops trust. And that will also create an emotional connection and emotional engagement to you as an author, as your author brand. So authenticity is so important and so crucial. And you need to be authentic in your writing, in your narration, and also when you put yourself out there in the public. Be your authentic self, because that does make you stand out. If you're trying to be somebody else or sound like somebody else or write like somebody else, you're going to get lost. You're going to get lost in the mire. You're going to get lost in the, you're going to just be that little grain of sand on the beach. And you don't want to be that little grain of sand. You want to be that big boulder that's sitting on the beach that people notice. And when you are your authentic self, they're going to notice you, okay? So that is one very important component of your author brand, okay? Another component that's really important is being consistent. Being consistent visually, being consistent with your identity, being consistent with your brand, right? You are an author brand. So some of those things that create your author brand, maybe it is a certain color palette that you have. Maybe your book is in a certain color and that resonates with you. Maybe you have a website about you as an author and it has a certain color palette to it. That's branding, okay? That's part of who you are. Another thing that you have to be consistent about is your headshot, for example. When people are looking for you, and maybe you have you promote yourself on multiple social media accounts, whether you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you promote yourself, be consistent. And that's part of your author branding. If you have, again, a certain color palette, make sure it all looks consistent. If you have a headshot, use the same headshot everywhere so that when people find you or are looking for you, they'll go, oh yeah, that's his or her YouTube channel because I recognize them. Oh, I recognize their picture on Instagram. I recognize their picture on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on TikTok and wherever that you're promoting yourself on social media. Be consistent, because that is also being professional. Okay, it's not, you don't want to confuse your audience. You don't want to confuse your followers. You want them to make sure that they know this is you, that this is legit. This is my legit website, my legit social media pages, all of it. Okay, be consistent. Consistency is key, and that's all part of your branding. So whether it's your website, as I say, social media, if you're doing PR marketing, be consistent across the board. All right. The other thing is, think about maybe designing a logo. Maybe you don't have a business. I mean, I have Robert Lane Coaching. I had a logo design for it, and that's what I call my business. But maybe it's just your name. If I was just Robert A. Lane, the author, I would probably create a logo using my name, and having a book or something that expresses who I am and in the color palette that I want it to be. So that could be another identifiable thing that you can do for your author brand. And then again, being consistent, making sure that that's that same logo that's everywhere so that people know that it's you and that there's no confusion at all. All right. So those are a couple of really important components. Authenticity, again, that is so important. You got to be authentic. And again, consistency and visual with your visual and identity, and of course with your branding. All right. So let's talk about one more thing, number 3. Actually, we're going to take a quick break. Let me save that for the next segment because I don't want to dive into it and then have to stop and then go back to it. So we will come back to number 3 of things to help you create your author brand. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I am your host, Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. You can find out more about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer at robertlanecoaching.com. We are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Again, our topic is creating your author brand. And since we are streaming live, you can join us again at 866-451-1451. Give us a call, or you can maybe go into the comments. We'd love to hear from you. All right, we will be right back. Don't go away.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Thank you again for joining us here on the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. I'm an audiobook coach and producer. If you're a nonfiction author and you want to take your book to the next level, get in touch with me. We'd love to help you and get you enrolled in the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program. I'll talk a little bit more about that a little later on in the podcast, but you can always go to robertlanecoaching.com for more information about it. All right, so we're talking about creating your author brand and some of the key components and parts that help forge, mold, create this awesome author brand of yours, because you are a brand. And again, you are, like I say, an entrepreneur, you are a professional author, you are a brand. What's your product? Your ebook, your paperback, your hardcover, and of course, your audiobook. Those are your products. And when you create these products, because again, you are the CEO of you, when you make these products, you want to do it to the best of your ability to create the greatest thing that you can, because that is a representation of your author brand. And again, another reason why I say all nonfiction authors need to narrate your own audiobook, because no one can speak your story better than you. Nobody can. That's part of your author brand. That's what makes you so unique. You could have the greatest narrator in the world, and there are some great narrators out there. I mean, when I did my book, I narrated myself because I was talking about life coaching and career coaching, and the experiences that I shared in my book were personal experiences. Excuse me. So again, no one can express that because no other narrator was able to live those experiences. I take a quick drink of water. Excuse me for that. Got a little itch in my throat there. But no one can express your story better than you. You've lived it, you've breathed it, you've experienced it. And when you wrote your book, you put your blood, sweat, and tears into it. So when it comes to narrating your audiobook, no one can really tap into that emotion and tap into that energy that makes you so unique. I could have had, or would have loved to have had, well, I don't know, what's up? Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman. What a great voice. Would have been great. But you know what? It still would be his interpretation. It wouldn't sound the way, or be expressed in the way that maybe I would express it. Maybe there are words or phrases or concepts that are emphasized, and it's like, well, I wouldn't say it that way, no matter how great that narrator is. That's why it is so important for you as a nonfiction author to narrate your own audiobook. Okay. Anyway, just wanted to hit that point home because it really is important. So getting on to some of the traits and components that create your author brand is understanding your target audience. If you wrote a memoir and it's about trauma, and maybe your target audience is people who've experienced the same type of trauma. Maybe it's a certain age demographic, or maybe it's a gender demographic. Maybe you speak to millennials, or you speak to Gen Xers or Gen Zers, or whatever it is. Maybe it's an experience that relate to women or to men, or whatever it is. But understand who your target audience is, because that will help you in regards to marketing and promoting your book to the right people, and getting more people interested in you as an author and you as your author brand, getting more followers to read your book, getting more people to listen to your audiobook. And again, you got to have an audiobook, and you need to be published on the AAA, Audible, Amazon, and Apple. I call it the AAA. You have to be on those distribution platforms, because that's where people go. Those are the 3 platforms that people go first before they go to any other distribution platform to find audiobooks. And they even ask for it by brand name. Hey, is your book on Audible? Can I grab your book on Apple? Oh, can I grab your book on Amazon? Is your audiobook on Amazon? They ask for it by brand name. So it is really important to get into that market, because the audiobook market is growing and expanding. It has been over the last several years, and it continues to. And there are people who buy audiobooks before they even buy the paperback, the ebook, or the hardcover, and maybe they only listen to audiobooks. So you don't want to not hit that market. So as your author and your author brand, being the CEO of you and making a calculated risk, get your book into an audiobook and get into that market so people can discover who you are. And when they discover your audiobook, 9 out of 10 times, they will buy your ebook or paperback or hardcover. People do that. I do that. I'll get an audiobook and I'm fascinated by it, and there's some really great things in there. I'll buy the paperback because I want that physical copy that I can get there and highlight some key points or quotes or things that are really of interest in that book. So it'll help you as an author and as your author brand in selling your products and making more revenue, and definitely expanding your reach, your audience reach. So you definitely need to get into the audiobook world. All right. that would be a wise, calculated risk. But again, again, going back to understanding your target audience, what that does is that it helps you communicate to the right people. And again, it connects you and it creates more engagement for you with new people discovering who you are. So you want to make sure that you're hitting the right target audience. Okay. Now, let's see. Sharing your personal story. That's another great thing that helps create your author brand. Sharing your personal story, giving your personal biography, letting people in on what it took for you to create and write the nonfiction book that you did write. What got you to that point? Sharing some backstory is really interesting. It's like the behind the scenes thing. Something that I tell my author clients when they go through the audiobook coaching program is share your journey. Share it. As you are creating your audiobook, bring them in. Bring them behind the scenes. It's such a great thing. It's like movie magic, right? One of the stories I share in my book is my first exposure to the movie industry. I'll just share a quick story with you about that. As a little kid growing up, my best friend lived in the house directly behind ours, and he lived with his grandparents, and his grandfather was Robert A. Mattei. Robert A. Mattei was a special effects guy and a genius. He did special effects for a lot of Disney movies. He did Mary Poppins. He did 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which garnered 3 Academy Awards. But probably his biggest claim to fame, which he was called out of retirement to work on this film, was Jaws. He was the guy, and he lived behind me. And I remember the day that he says, "Hey, you guys want to go see a shark?" And he took us to the hangar where they were building the actual shark for Jaws. And what a great experience, to see movie magic being created. I mean, it scared the hell out of me when I saw that shark. This 25-foot shark and the front part of it was completed. Jaws open, teeth real big. I mean, as a little kid, scared the hell out of me. But the back half of the shark was all open, so you were able to see all the hydraulics and the mechanics of what made the shark work. And that was fascinating. And a matter of fact, that was the first, again, exposure to the entertainment world, and I was hooked. No pun intended, right? We're talking about sharks. But I was hooked. And it was a great experience. So I just wanted to share that with you because you as an author, whether you're writing your book or you're doing your audiobook, like I say, I tell my clients, take them on the journey with you. Show them something behind the scenes because that really connects people to you and connects people to your author brand. And that's also part of being authentic, which goes back to the first point that I brought up about being your true authentic self and sharing your true authentic voice. It all ties in together, and that is a very crucial component of creating your author brand. So share some personal stories. Share some of these experiences. Take your readers and your listeners and your followers on a journey of creation. Give them some behind the scenes. It's great. It's a great thing. And it's exciting not only for you as being an author and your author brand, but just exciting for the people that get to have a glimpse of something that they don't normally see. And that's just a great thing to share. All right. And then let's see, one more thing that I do want to share with you in regards to your author brand is very important, professionalism. You got to be pro. Again, like I talked about at the beginning of the podcast, loving and embracing your professionalism. You're not a hobbyist. You're not an amateur. You're a professional. You've written and published a nonfiction book. You're a pro. Again, I don't care whether you write for a living, and if you do, that's awesome, or maybe you wrote your book at night during nights and weekends, but you did it. So you are a professional. So embrace that. So again, being a professional means you're an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur means you are the CEO of you, which means you have a responsibility, okay? You are accountable for yourself. If you're a solopreneur, this is what you do. You, again, are the CEO of you, so you are in charge. So be professional. never cut corners, all right? Never cut corners, because when you cut corners, you are cheapening your author brand, and you do not want a bad representation of who you are, because you've worked too hard to create what you've created with your book, with your audiobook, and with your author brand. Don't cheapen your product, all right? All right, we're going to take one more quick break. When we come back, I do want to share with you some more, or at least an overview of the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program, just to give you an idea of what I do and how I help all the authors that go through the program. So we'll talk about that as well, and just kind of summarize what we talked about today here on the podcast about creating your author brand. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. Again, you can find out more about what I do at robertlanecoaching.com. We are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. We'll be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
All right, we're back here on the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. Again, if you want to find out more about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer, you can go to robertlanecoaching.com. Just to summarize real quickly about what we talked about today on the podcast about creating your author brand. Again, embrace the fact that you're a professional. Embrace the fact that you are now an entrepreneur. Remember my catchphrase, you are the CEO of you. You're the boss, okay? So love it and embrace it, all right? What creates your author brand? Remember, it's everything about you. Your personality, your sense of humor, your belief systems, your habits, how you grew up, your communication skills, your writing style, your pacing, all of that, and especially your voice, how you sound. That's a crucial element of your author brand. All of that creates your author brand, and that's what makes you so unique. So love it and embrace your uniqueness. Okay. The other thing, again, is some of the going over those 5 points, 5 components of your author brand. Being authentic, authenticity and voice. You got to be authentic and be your true self. Consistency with your branding and marketing. Whatever you do out there in the world, make sure you're consistent so people can identify with you and know that that is you and that is your author brand. Understanding your target audience is important so that you know where to market your book and where to market your audiobook. And sharing some of your backstory and personal story and taking people along the journey while you create your audiobook or while you write your next book. It just really makes people feel connected to you, and it's just a great thing to do. And of course, most importantly as well, is just being professional. Don't cut corners. Do the best that you can do always, all right? Because that's a reflection of your author brand, all right? If you have a great book that's out there and you don't have it in audiobook form, I encourage you to reach out to me, because that's what I do as an audiobook coach and producer. All right. I have a program called Your Book, Your Voice. It's a 6-week program where authors enroll, and I help them through the entire process. I help you set up your own recording space so that you can record in your own home and in your own office at your pace. So you don't have the pressure of trying to find a recording studio, and you're going to have to find editors and engineers and all that stuff. No, you set up your own recording space, and I teach you how to do that. And to help you with that, I send you the professional equipment. And I don't mean cheapy $100 mics. I mean the good stuff, the stuff that podcasters use, professional mic, professional headphones. We go over the recording program that you use to create your audiobook. I help you set up your account for publication into Audible, Amazon, and Apple, and in any other distribution platforms. That's all part of the program. And by the way, the equipment that I send you, it's yours to keep. You don't send it back to me. It's part of the program. So now you got a great equipment to do your next audiobook, or you have a great equipment for doing podcasts when you're a podcast guest, right? All right, so that's the first phase of the program. The next phase is teaching you the fine art of how to do a great narration, how to be compelling, how to be authentic, how to sound conversational, how to keep your listener engaged from opening credits to closing credits. And I coach you through every aspect of it, all right? Now, when you record your audiobook, in case you're not familiar, it's done in sections. Okay, so that means that if you have 20 chapters in your book, that's 20 separate audio files. Then you have opening credits, closing credits, foreword, introduction, prologue, epilogue, whatever you have in your book. Those are all separate audio files. You record them, and then they have to be edited. They need to be cleaned up. They need to make sure that everything is smooth, that it sounds great, and most importantly, that it meets the exact specifications for publication, because there are some specs that you have to have. So part of the program is you send the files to me. And again, my 22 plus years with my audio post-production company, you're getting an audio editor as part of the program. You send the files to me, I edit them, clean them up, make sure they meet the exact specifications for publication, and then I will upload your audio files for publication for you. So you won't even have to worry about that step. That way I know your files are great and that you are 100% guaranteed to be published without any issues. All right. So with that, we also talk about some marketing strategies and things that you can do to help promote your audiobook. But that's like the bird's eye view of the audiobook coaching program. Everything you need is provided for you. My job is to make sure that the only thing you're concerned and worried about is just doing a great narration. That's it. And I will help you every step of the way. I coach you one-on-one. I have video lessons that are also included, PDF downloads for reference material. You get everything. So this is what you need to do, and it's one simple step, right? Take that calculated risk, and this risk doesn't cost anything, all right? Schedule a call with me. Let's talk. We're going to put that graphic up that has my calendar link. I want you to take a look at that. And you can also go to Robert Lane Coaching as well. But schedule your free author consultation call with me. I call it an audiobook consultation call now. Book it, all right? That's my personal calendar. You will talk to me directly, all right? Book your call, bit.ly/audiobook onboarding, all right? That's all you need to do. So with that, my friends, we're going to wrap things up here for this edition of the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. My one last assignment for you is, of course, when you're out and about in the world, my friends, smile at a stranger, say hello to them, maybe give them a compliment, because that small gesture of kindness can make the world of difference in somebody's life. So be the difference, all right? Thank you so much for joining. I'm Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. Again, robertlanecoaching.com is my website. Book your call. I want to talk with you. I want to get your audiobook out there. All right. We're streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be talking to you next week, my friends. Take care.
This has been Your Book, Your Voice with host Robert A. Lane. Tune in each week for another powerful and informative episode of Your Book, Your Voice, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.